Welcome back, everybody, to You've Been Josh with Josh. I am your host, Josh. Episode 14, and it's the first one of 2022. Let's go. Yes, it is the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. And I hope you had a fantastic New Year's celebration. I hope that your new year has started off swimmingly. It is 2022, and I keep accidentally writing down 2021 when I put the date in for things, and I keep saying and passing 2021 or think back on last year 2020. And I'm like, fuck, wait, no, that's not wrong. That's not that's right. That's wrong. Fuck. It sucks. But I hope that everyone's having a great start to their year, and I hope that your celebrations were fantastic. And I hope everyone's staying safe amid the rise in new cases with this new coronavirus variant that is out. A little scary, but we're getting through it. We're doing what we need to do as long as you're being safe. But 2022 is here, everybody. It's crazy. As I discussed in last week's episode, we have started our goals. Putting a lot of work in. I'm making sure I'm progressing in the way I want to get it done. As well as last night, I did a trophy hunting 101 on stream. I did a trophy hunting 101. I put together a PowerPoint and I explained how trophy hunting works and how it was made and when it was made and all that shit. And just kind of explain to everybody what it is, because when you get a PlayStation, they don't explain it. It's just kind of a feature that's implemented in, and the only way you can learn about it and actually understand it is if you go on PlayStation forums and look at their announcements and blah blah blah. So I was like, oh, it'd be nice to explain to my viewers and explain to them how it works. And I'm very tempted to make a YouTube video on it. I think it might be interesting. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe 2022 is the year I do a trophy hunting explanation on YouTube. Who knows? But I found out about it and learned about it through my own research on YouTube and whatnot. So, who knows? Maybe I will. But it was fun. I think a lot of people liked it, and it was really cool because a lot of people didn't know what it was. They kind of just were like getting the trophies as they went. They're like, cool, I'm getting an achievement, but they didn't know all the stuff behind it and the little things that went along with it. So once I was done, there was quite a few people who started hunting right then and there and who are interested in continuing. And that excites me because that's something they can share with me. And we can help each other do as well, too, because there's a lot of multiplayer trophies and achievements that you can get. So it's exciting. It was a lot of fun. Also, like I said last week, I met two trophy hunters that stream, which was super interesting, and it kind of took me back because I was like, oh shit, like I thought there wasn't that many, and then I found out that there's a shit ton, and I found an even larger group of people, and I found a stream team called Trophy Hunters, and they all trophy hunt. That's what they do on stream. That's all they do on stream, and it's really cool. So I'm meeting a lot of new people. I'm working on getting my completion rating up. The platinums will come in time. I think that's just something that I will just be working on as I go. I'm not really focused on doing that. Like towards the end of the year, I'll focus on getting that 200 mark, but I want to get my completion rating up. I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I've been having a lot of fun with that. I feel more motivated for stream and a lot of other things because I'm facilitating that hunger and that itch and that hobby that I have because it's something I love to do. But let me know. I think I asked this last week, but let me know if you have any hobbies that you enjoy. I know my dad, he collects coins from all over the world. He has a very large collection. But that's his hobby. He loves collecting coins from all the different countries in the world and collecting them all the way back to specific years. And it's really interesting. And I know people collect baseball cards and video games and they collect the pop figures and stuff like that. So if you have a hobby or if you collect something or anything like that, let me know what it is because I think it's a really cool thing. A lot of people have these things that they do, like building trains and model airplanes and all kinds of stuff. But they just kind of do it for themselves and they don't really talk about it, but they're excited about it. And I want to hear about that stuff because whenever I talk about trophy hunting, I get so excited. I nerd the fuck out because I put the time into it. I enjoy it and I've researched it, and it's cool. So if you have a hobby or if you collect something or you do something that's unique, like tweet at me. Let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it. I think it's super cool that people do that stuff. But let me know. Let me know. Sadly, I started off the year a little rough. Sadly, I started off the year a little rough. As you all know, my dog, he is the best boy. He is the goodest of boys. Like I've said, we don't have to use a leash when we take him outside because he just follows us along, and he's really, really good at listening. But he has high anxiety, and he'll run if there's people around. Like, not like run away, but just like run off to the side and go around them a long way because he doesn't want to go by them. And with a bunch of kids moving back in this time of year for the next semester of college, we have a lot of trucks and stuff around, and just for safety reasons, we put him on a leash to go out to the back, and then we take it off when we get in the back, just because I don't want him when we're in the parking lot to accidentally get hit by anything, So I had him on a leash, and I was taking him outside. I was like, all right, let's go outside. Let's go for a walk, And I was taking him to the back so we could run around. Then we were going to go on a walk, and there was a truck and a group of people, and he saw them, and they were like, "Hi!" And he pulled, and I slipped on the ice and fucking fell right on my back. And goddamn, it hurt. Like, I fell on my side, like on my lower back and my side. Like, I kind of caught myself a little bit, like landed on my elbow and my hip, But it hurt like a mother trucker, and now I'm sore and I'm bruised. I'm sore and I'm bruised for the last few days, but I'm okay. Nothing's wrong. It's just So I figured as a good topic of conversation for today, going back to my good old days in theater, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about all the injuries that I sustained as a kid, the bad ones. Because as you say in theater before show, break a leg. And they say break a leg because if you say something bad and you wish something bad, something good will happen. And the opposite. It's like the opposite of a jinx, It's the opposite of jinxing yourself. Why was I going British there? Why was I going like hating yourself? So we're gonna hone in the new year by putting out. It's like a good luck charm for 2022. That's what this one is. It's a good luck charm for 2022. We're gonna talk about bad things that have happened to me, injury wise, because I thought it'd be interesting to talk about, and you guys can hear some things that have happened to me because I haven't talked about them on stream. But then also, it's kind of like a hey, 2022, you can't fuck with me, bitch. So let's talk about things that have happened to me when I was a kid. Surprisingly enough, I have never broken a single bone except for one, and it was my big toe. I've never broken any bones, which is surprising because you guys know how much I love to rollerblade. I need to get a new pair because they have some pretty sick areas around here that the college kids can walk on. They're just paved walkways, and so I can blade through there. Once spring comes around, of course. But I haven't broken a single bone, which is crazy, except for my big toe, and it's not from how you would think. Okay, it was a stupid reason. Okay, I was homeschooled, as you guys know, and once a week on a Tuesday, we would go to this church that would have weekly classes for homeschool kids where you could interact with other kids. You would have a class and you would do the homework for that class and the assignments during the week, and then you would come back and you would turn them in and whatnot. Besides just your daily stuff that you would do at your house for homeschooling and blah blah blah. It depends on how you have it run and stuff, because there's different types of homeschooling. But we would go there, and they had this giant gymnasium where they would hold the services. And so in between classes and whatnot, all us boys would just be fucking around and throwing balls and all kinds of shit. But I would take my shoes off because I was never one to wear shoes. I hated shoes. If I can be barefoot, I'll be barefoot. I'm not like one to wear socks, but like in the situation where I had to have shoes on, I would just be without shoes and just have socks on. I was really weird. I don't know why. Um, but I had just socks on, and we were hanging out in the gymnasium, and I was running, and I realized that if I like ran and then stopped, I could slide because the gymnasium floor was very smooth. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. This is something that'll entertain me for the next hour. So I was like, hey, boys, get your shoes off. We're going to go sliding. It's sledding, but with your feet. And so we were just running back and forth across the gymnasium and like sliding. And we're like, oh, hell yeah, we're Frozone. Look at us go. Woo. And we're just sliding back and forth. And I did it too quickly the one time. And when I was sliding, my big toe went underneath my foot. It like slipped underneath my foot, and I slid and just crunched it all the way across the gymnasium floor, and broke it. I crushed, like, underneath my nail was completely purple and red. My toe hurt like a fucking bitch. It really, really hurt. And so much fun that night, surprisingly enough, because at the time I was in middle school, I was doing theater. I was doing the show Oklahoma, where I played Curly. And in Oklahoma, back at the time that this show was supposed to be around, they wore boots. They wore cowboy boots. And we had a parade that we had to do in Gettysburg that night where we're going to sing Oklahoma songs while walking through the streets with the, I think it was the Thanksgiving parade, and to just like advertise the show and kind of like as a fun thing. Or maybe it was a Halloween parade. I'm not sure. But it was a parade, and I had to walk in it that night. And so I had to put on pointed toed cowboy boots, with my broken toe and walk for like 5 miles, singing. And, it hurt like a fucking bitch. I hated that. That hurt so bad. But that's the first story. That's the first one. It sucked. It really did. That's the only bone that I've ever broken, though. It was surprisingly enough. I thought it. I'm kind of surprised because I used to climb trees all the time, and JP and I used to get up to some crazy shit. And I'm just surprised that I have never broken like my arm or my leg or any like my fingers or anything, because I used to do some weird things. I did not care for my health. I did not. When you're a kid, you know, like you run around, you do things. Like I'm surprised I never broke anything because I did some dumb shit. I jumped off of everything. I wanted to jump. If I could jump off of it, I would. That's just how I was. But yeah, I'm kind of just surprised that I've never done that. I also had to take physical therapy at one point. And I still have problems with my back because of this. I'm pretty sure because I was a dumbass and didn't continue my exercises that the physical therapist gave me after I was done with my physical therapy. Because when you're a kid, you don't want to do work, even if it is something that help you, because you're lazy. I was a lazy kid, 100%. But back in the day, back with around that time, actually, I think it was in middle school. No, it was in middle school. I was still living in Gettysburg. I as part of another thing we did as part of being homeschooled, was we went to the YWCA in Gettysburg, and it was like a weekly. It was like maybe it was a 2 times a week thing, but we would go and we would do some sort of sport or activity in the YWCA as like an exercise thing, and every month they would change it to a different thing. So like once we did racquetball for like a month, and then we did like dodgeball, and then we did I can't remember the other ones, but I remember one month we did gymnastics. And being a kid who likes to climb things and jump off things, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be fun. So they had like a lower bar because we were kids, so like we couldn't do like anything too high. They had a lower bar that we could use to like swing around and stuff, like you would see in if you watch like the gymnastics or whatnot. And I was doing pretty good. Like I was having a lot of fun with it, and I would stick my landings, and I was having a good time. And I was like, oh, I want to try the higher bar because you can get more height. And I was like, I want to jump higher. I want to jump. Um, and so they let me, and I fell right on my fucking stomach. I flipped around and landed right on my stomach. It was a pretty high fall, and I knocked the wind right out of me. And that was the one time, because I've knocked the wind out of me before. Of course, I've jumped off of things and I do all that stuff, And like I was saying, I literally knocked the wind out of me, and it hurts. That was the worst. Like that was the one time that I knocked the wind out of me that I was like, I don't know if my breath is ever gonna come back. I think I'm gonna die. Like today is the day that I die. But it sucked, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, and I just moved on with life. And that was like in the spring, and then as summer came around, I started to have some pain while I like when I would run in my back, and then went to this camp, camp that I think I've mentioned before on the podcast. It's called Nawakwa. We would go there every summer. My parents worked there, and one of the weeks that I went for camp was called Night Owls. And what we did for the entire week was we would slowly acclimate our sleep schedule to being up later and sleep during the day. It was really interesting concept, and it was a lot of fun. And we would do a lot of like cookouts like at like 4 a.m. It was really, really fun. But during nighttime, we would do a bunch of activities and run around and stuff. And as the week progressed, my back got worse and worse and worse, and to the point where like just walking hurt. So after the camp was over, we went to a chiropractor. We got some X-rays. They fixed my back, and what had happened was when I landed on I'm assuming this is what did it. Like I don't know if it was they couldn't like confirm nor deny the fact that it could have been this. But what I think would happen, maybe my parents know the actual story to this, but when I landed on my stomach, I landed so hard and with such force that my vertebrae, all the little bones that connect that go up your spine, they pulled apart like from the muscle. And so as time went on, they slowly went back into the position, like they settled in again, from where they were, but they were like out of place. So when they took the X-ray, every single vertebrae was like in a different position, going on my back, and that's what was causing me pain. And so I did physical therapy for it, and things got better. And then as time progressed and me doing all these extraneous jobs over the years with like the lumber mill and stuff, I fucked my back up more. And that's why I'm really happy that I have the job I have now, because now I can sit properly and I can get my back checked out, and I can crack my back, and like I'm not putting too much tension on it and stuff. But yeah, I still have back problems because of that. It was an interesting injury. It's like, oh, why do you have back problems? Gymnastics. Yeah, it's gymnastics, I don't look like someone who does gymnastics, but just, I was a kid. I didn't, it was probably not like if someone who's a real gymnast look at me and they're like, yeah, what you did back then, that wasn't gymnastics. You were just swinging around. There was just fun for kids. I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. The other one, another story, was back with JP, and this one includes JP actually. But what I have mentioned before was we used to have, my mom and his mom used to have this tutoring business where we rented, they had like a lease on the top floor of a building, and we would go there every day and do our homework and whatnot, and they would tutor kids. And outside they had a big parking lot with a couple trees around it and some grass area, and so JP and I would run around and shoot Nerf guns at each other and smack each other with Nerf swords and climb trees and all that jazz. And like one day, all of us, my mom, his brothers, him and I, my sister, we were all outside playing like, I think we were playing Foursquare or something like that. We had one of those like those bigger rubber balls that you like use for like Foursquare. And they asked me to go get it from our van. And so, no, they asked me to go get something else from the van. Yes, they asked me to go get something else from the van and put the ball away in the van. So I went over to the van, okay, and I opened the door and I put the ball into the van and I grabbed the other thing. And since I just rolled it into the van, it hit the back side, the other side of the van, like on the other door on the other side, the other sliding door, and started rolling back. And as the door was shutting, the sliding door, because I shut it, I tried to reach in and push it back so it didn't fall out. And when I did that and I pulled my hand back, the door closed on my hand, just on my one finger, my pointer finger, because it was the last thing like coming out of the door, if that makes sense. I just wasn't quick enough because I try to be, when you're a kid and you're like, I have enough time for this. Instead of just stopping the door, I'm just going to quickly push my hand in here quickly before the door shuts just to push it back instead of doing the safe way. Yeah, that was me. I try to just put my hand in there quickly and push it back. And I wasn't quick enough. I pushed the ball back in, but I didn't get my hand out quick enough. And the door shut on my finger and it locked. And so I had to have my mom run across the parking lot to get to me to unlock the door to get my finger out because I couldn't open the door because it was locked. And so when they got my finger out, a big like sliver of my skin on the top of my finger was like peeled off. And so I have a scar on my pointer finger still. It's very small, but I have a scar on my pointer finger from that. But it was just interesting because I got my finger locked in a car door. That one hurt a lot. But the worst injury that I've ever gotten would have to be when I got my leg cut open, my left leg. This is a longer story. All right, this is the first story that came to my mind when I had this idea to do this episode this way. It was so bad. So basically, going back to the camp that I was talking about, my mom was the naturalist at this camp, so she would do all the nature studies, the river walks where they would go to the stream studies and stuff, where you would go down the stream and you catch like crawfish and like look at all the bugs and the stuff in the creek and like the different rocks and stuff. And she would do nature hikes and stuff where you could go out and check out the birds and whatnot. And the camp recently bought a very large plot of acreage behind Upper Camp, because Lower Camp is where the main stuff goes down, and then you can go up the hill, and it's Upper Camp, and then behind Upper Camp into the forest is all this acreage of land that they bought. So as the naturalist, before the summer began, they asked her to go check it out. So she's like, all right, we're going on a field day. And we're like, okay, we're going on a field trip. Let's go. Me and my sister and her got into our car, and we went and we parked it up in Upper Camp, and we walked into the woods, and we walked a couple miles. We walked really far into the forest, and we just checked out the area, and we're just checking out all the different things that were there because it was very pretty. It was really untouched, basically. And we went down into the stream. It was this really pretty stream, and I saw these tadpoles, but they weren't just tadpoles. These suckers were fucking massive, and I realized that these tadpoles were bullfrog tadpoles. So you know how big bullfrogs can get. You two hands worth. Like you cup both your hands together, and you could hold a bullfrog in your hand. They're fucking big. They're huge. So these are bullfrog tadpoles, and so the tadpoles you could hold, and you had to cup your one hand. Like they're huge. They're probably the size of a golf ball. Okay, to give you reference. So they're really big. So they're easier to catch. And I was like, oh, I want to catch one. So I'm in the water, probably like a little over ankle deep, and I catch one of these things. Okay. And I'm like all excited and shit. And I was like, oh, Mom, Sarah, check out the look at the tadpole. And so I start running through the water to them to show them, because they're up on the bank. And I trip and I fall. And I'm like covered in water, and they're laughing at me. I'm laughing, like, ha 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 ha. And I start feeling this tingling sensation in my left leg. And Before I can even look down, my sister starts screaming, and I look down, and there's just this giant chunk of flesh floating in the stream, and there's this huge slice from my ankle all the way up to my knee of skin missing. Like, I'm talking a big chunk. In my mind, because it was a very tense moment, I always picture seeing a bone like thing. I don't think it was actually my bone. I don't think it went that. It went pretty freaking deep. Like, it was a deep cut, but I don't think it was actually my bone showing. I just think it was some like muscle and cartilage that I'm not used to seeing, if that makes sense. So I was scared, but the reason why I didn't feel it right away and the pain was because the water's cold. So my leg was numbed, and thank God for that, because I feel like it didn't start bleeding right away because of the fact that the water was so cold. But what had happened was when I tripped, there was a pointed rock in the water, and I landed right on it, and so it caught me, but it cut my leg open. But the thing is, because because of us going out on this long nature walk, the van is very far away, and we have to walk back very far to get into the van to then drive 30 minutes to the hospital. So, crazily enough, this is something my mom always talks about whenever she tells this story, is before we left, I had mentioned to my mom, hey, we're going to be out in the forest. I'm scared. In my mind, I remember why my reasoning for this. My reasoning was, I'm scared of snakes. We have rattlesnakes. I don't want to get bit and then be stuck out there with a bite. So I had told my mom, why don't we take some bandanas and our first aid kit with us and put it in our backpack just in case something happens. Thank God I did, because we used the bandanas to wrap my leg and kind of tighten it so that way it was putting pressure on it and so it wouldn't bleed as much. So me and my sister, we used my sister as a crutch. We walked, and my mom ran to get up to the van, and then drove the van through the woods back to us to get us into the car, and then we drove to the hospital. And we got in there. They had to numb my leg. So they gave shots into my leg and then shots inside the wound, which worst pain I've ever felt in my life. God damn it. And then they had to sew up my leg, but because of how deep it was, they had stitches inside my leg and outside my leg. And I think I was like 10. I was really young. But I was screaming. That was the worst pain I've ever felt. And yeah, it was 8 stitches inside, 8 stitches outside my leg. And I remember lying on the table while they were doing this, crying my eyes out. And there was a bird. There was a bird in the window just chirping and just chilling there. And so we were just watching the bird, trying to get my mind off of what was happening, because they were sticking needles in and stitching and all kinds of shit. There's a bird at the window, and we were just watching. We started singing some camp songs, because as a 10-year-old, like, you want to be tough. You want to be a fucking tough, because you're like, I'm almost a teenager. I'm a tough kid. But when you have a huge chunk of flesh out of your leg, you're gonna fucking bawl your eyes out. There's nothing wrong with crying. Toxic masculinity is alive and well, and let's bring crying back. Let's bring crying back, okay? No, that it sucked ass. It sucked ass, but we got it all fixed and it was all good. The downside to this whole thing, besides having a pound of flesh missing from my leg, was it was right before summer began. So when summer began and we were at the camp, I couldn't go swimming. I needed to wear a bag and duct tape it onto my leg so that way water didn't get in there, and because of the stitches. So for the first month, because of how long it took to heal, for the first month of summer, I couldn't swim. I had to wear a bag on my leg to shower. It sucked ass. And I was like, God damn it. But I have a sick ass scar now. I have a sick ass scar on my leg. It's still there because of how big it was. It's faded a little bit. It used to be all the way up to my kneecap, but it's faded down a little bit. Now it's just for my ankle because the ankle was where it went in, so it's the deepest. So from my ankle all the way up to my knee, I have a big old scar. If it wasn't against TOS to show my legs on stream, and if I had legs, I would show you. That's the joke with streamers, right? We don't have legs. I'll have to post a picture and post it in the Discord or something. If you guys want to see a picture of it, let me know. I'll post one in the Discord. But yeah, no, it was a bad one. It was a bad one. So let's hope that with this, me having this conversation and telling you these stories, we have now made a good luck charm for 2022. We've put it out into the universe. I'm putting it out there. It's the positive energy. No, for real. I have high hopes for this year. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm very excited for all the things that are coming. Because there's a bunch. And I want to, again, like I said last week, I want to make these podcasts a little bit more solidified in their structure. I want to kind of have like the beginning of the podcast be like a news and announcements kind of area, and have like a question of the week where we ask and you guys can like tweet at me something, the answer to the question, and then have like either a section where it's just me talking about a topic like we've been doing, or I can have a guest on, we talk about it, and then like finish it up with another segment of something. That's the idea I have in my mind. I just want to make sure that it's perfect because I am such a fucking critic of myself, and I'm a perfectionist. So before I change anything, I need it to be exactly how I want it to be before I have the thing. Which is funny because like I will do something exactly how I've been doing something for a while, all the way up until the point where it's just like, okay, now even though I've had a couple of these things done, I will wait until it is 100% done to then post or do, if that makes sense. That's something I should probably work on for this year. Maybe. Yeah. Well, I'll think it over. But thank you guys for listening. I really, really appreciate you. I know this is a shorter episode than most because it's the first one of the year. I figured we'd have a nice introductory one, you know. But as the weeks progress, we're gonna have more of a solidified schedule. We have 52 weeks in the year, so we'll have 51 more episodes after this, which is exciting. And maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll add more episodes. Maybe we'll add 2 a week. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But if you're new to the podcast, welcome in. I appreciate you for being here and listening. 2022 is going to be a big one, guys. It's going to be a big one. I can feel it. I can feel it in my scar. You know, I can feel it. But I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you all so much for your support. And let me know if there's anything that you would like to see added to the podcast. And let me know what your hobbies are. Oh, that's what I want to know for Twitter this week is tweet at me or message me or however you want to do it. If you have any hobbies that are obscure, let me know if you collect anything. Let me know if you have any hobbies that you like to partake in. And I will see you all next week. Remember to eat your apples, my guys, my dudes, my folks, my peeps, and stay funky. Stay yourself. This year's going to be a good one. Happy freaking New Year. All right, guys. Bye.